I, 24F, walked out of a congratulatory makeup party my parents were throwing for me after my sister, 30F, announced she had miscarried. So the party name is probably confusing to some people, so let me explain. My whole life, I have been told that the day I was born was the worst day in our family because it was also the day my sister was diagnosed with cancer. This was mentioned many times when I was growing up and it always made me feel weird. My family hated celebrating my birthday and they would often ignore my actual birthday and choose a new date to celebrate me. Normally it was a few weeks after my actual birthday. This was because the day held no happy memories for them. During my 10th birthday party, not close to my actual birthday but another late celebration to make everyone happy, my parents and sister decided to announce that my sister's cancer had returned and she was undergoing more treatment. All celebration died and I had to send my friends home. When I turned 16, my friends decided to throw me a party to celebrate me on my actual birthday. It was a Saturday that year. My best friend's parents helped them organize it. My sister wasn't invited but decided to show up and started telling everyone she had another cancer scare 3 weeks before. My best friend's parents tried to keep her occupied but she said she wanted to be there to celebrate me, but all she did was share almost bad news. When I graduated high school, my sister announced her engagement had ended and she cried the whole time, and my family decided to cancel the party they had booked for after, because my sister needed comfort. I finally spoke to my parents a few months ago and told them how awful it made me feel to have these things happen, especially the ongoing reminder that the day I was born was the worst day of their lives. I asked them if they realized how shitty it feels to know your family can't find any happiness that you were born and that you're reminded of that your whole life. They apologized and said they felt so bad. They told me they would throw me a graduation party to congratulate me for my achievements. I also spoke to my sister, but she was less receptive to considering my feelings. Despite some reservations, I went because my parents appeared to be trying to do better. But then my sister showed up and announced she'd had a miscarriage to everyone and the party died as the focus went to her. Her husband told me I should make non-family leave because my sister needed family around her. So I left. Took people 2 hours to notice, and when they did they were all asking what the hell I thought I was doing leaving like that, and my sister cried down the phone to me that she thought I above everyone would support her. She asked how I could be so cold. Comment 1. NTA, but everyone else is in this story. The emotional abuse your family has put on you your entire life is bonkers. You have worth. Your existence in this world should be celebrated. I had a very abusive sister growing up, and I had to set some big boundaries as an adult. Sometimes the toxicity in families means you have to distance yourself and create your own circle of love and support. Find the people that love you and want to celebrate you. You sound like a person who will find them easily. All the best. Comment 2. NTA. She keeps hijacking your birthday to be all about her. She has serious main character syndrome. I am sorry for what you are going through. You are absolutely not the R, but your sister and parents certainly are. Consider going low contact and protect yourself. And if you have parties in the future, don't ever tell your sister where they are. Take care of yourself. Comment 3. Sounds like you need to disallow your sister from having anything to do with any kind of celebration that you have about yourself. Like a firm no, like if she shows up, she's gonna be turned away at the door. Who announces that they had a miscarriage in a room full of people? WTF? My older brother 29M has always has it easy and got way too comfortable in his situation. He was always the favorite compared to myself 25F and my sister 32F, the handsome kid, popular in high school and with girls, that kind of thing. It seems during college he actually found a long-term girlfriend, and when he finished up school he married her. It's been 6 years since they married and he hasn't done anything. His wife has always been a driven, successful woman. How he got her to marry him I will never know. Since they married he has not worked, they don't have kids, he barely does anything around the house, he outright admits it, he has gained a considerable amount of weight, developed a crippling pee addiction, he's way too open to admitting it, It's awkward, and spends his days with that or gaming. My brother got too used to gliding through life because he was always the pretty and fun guy. Now that he had his dream girl who provided for the house and brought in a ton of money without him having to lift a finger, he stopped trying to contribute at all. His wife works and does all the chores. They're roommates. I've always liked her and we hang out quite a bit. About 4 years ago she started doing anything she could to fix the relationship, since of course my brother manipulated her into believing it was her fault. She tried to set up therapy appointments, go to the gym more, encouraging him to go to the gym, tried intimacy more often, cut back hours to spend more time with him, bought him expensive things. She spent years trying everything she could to fix things, believing it was her fault. He didn't try a single thing. Outright rejected therapy, mocked her weight even though she practically has a supermodel figure, insisted his weight was fine, refused to lift a finger for the house, and kept blaming her for the way things were, saying if she tried more he would be better. 3 years later she was still coming home to him watching pee in a dirty house while she cooked and cleaned. 3 years of her working herself to the bone only to come home to an emotionally abusive husband who beat her down while she tried everything to fix her marriage. Last year she decided she wanted a divorce. My brother became hostile and promised to drag it out and take as much as he could, as apparently that have a prenuptial that he somehow got her to agree to. I know very little about divorce laws, especially in our state, except for that we don't live in an at-fault state, but according to her, if she tried to go forward with it and he got petty, he could take a lot from her. Everything they have is because of her. She decided against divorce. She was trapped with him and accepted it against mine and others' objections. I guess by then she was over his bullshit. She slowly spent more time away from home and claimed she was working extra hours. She didn't bother him about therapy or his weight. She actually pretty much stopped interacting with him. She didn't cook anymore. She didn't clean anymore. It didn't take long for her to admit to me she was spending quite a bit of time with other guys and girls. She never brought any home but was staying out late quite a bit. My brother didn't notice, and I didn't care. For years she was a beaten-down shell trying to appease someone who didn't respect her. Now she was lively, happy, outgoing, and everything she used to be. I'm not happy about her feeling stuck with my brother, or the concept of cheating in general, but apparently it works for her. It didn't take long for him to find out. Apparently there were a lot of people she was meeting. He was livid, demanded she stop, and threatened divorce. She didn't care. She told him he knew where the door was. It was her home solely and she was allowing him to stay out of obligation. She told him she would gladly stop if he agreed to a fair divorce without him fighting it, and that she was showing decency as a provider and a wife by not bringing her partners into their home. The thing is, even if my brother got his way in the divorce, he knew that money would not last at all, and without any work experience and the shape he was currently in, he would be screwed. He was an overweight slacker who barely had anything to his name. Prenup or not, now he was stuck. And so that's how it's been for nearly a year. She barely comes home anymore, and the list of APs has only gotten longer. My brother has tried going to the gym more, picking up a part-time job, cooking, but it's too late. He had years to fix this and only chose to change when his back was against the wall. He's been begging me to make her stop and to give their marriage a shot. I told him he's a moron who only has himself to blame. If you beat down a patient and caring person long enough, they will absolutely mess you up. He needs to just accept a divorce in her favor and learn from this. He didn't like my answer at all and hasn't talked to me for a couple weeks. Comment 1. I did not see any of this coming based on the title, but damn. Yeah, your Sil is trying to speed up the divorce proceedings and I don't blame her. I hope she gets everything that she deserves because she's been a saint putting up with your brother for this long. Comment 2. NTA. He pushed her to it. She tried to fix their marriage, and he said no. She tried to divorce him before cheating became an option, and he threatened to make it difficult. What outcome did he expect? My husband and I are expecting a baby. We don't know the sex, but I could give birth at any time now. We have a boy and a girl named Chosen. The choices generally are compromises. We didn't agree on names really and had different beliefs around names, I guess. He believes in formal names and kids having really solid middle names as well. I believe in naming the child what you want to call them, something I got from my parents who named me and my siblings that way, and my siblings went on to do the same. For example, I'm Lainey. Just Lainey. I don't have a more formal version of my name. I never felt like I needed a more formal name. My name works for me as a 34-year-old woman just as much as it did when I was 4. This led to some trouble for us because I gravitate more to names my husband considers nicknames. I found his choices very stuffy and unappealing, and he found my juvenile. But he liked Theodora and I liked Thea, and we agreed eventually to the full name for him, but I'd always use Thea. For a boy we went with Declan for him and Dex for me. Again with him using Declan and me Dex. But my husband doesn't like that I only say Thea or Dex. It bothers him that the full name gets ignored, and he said he believes my family and a lot of our friends will use the names I do. I told him the compromise only worked on the grounds that was okay, that he could use the full and I could use the nickname. He said the full name seems like it will be ignored otherwise and I should use both to make it more fair, and I told him that's just him getting his way. I told him if he wants a better compromise then he better come back to the table willing to look at different names. Before, names like Bryn, Lyra, Piper and Freya were ruled out by him for not meeting his standards of formal. Because they're shorter names. He said they were nickname light. But shorter, more formal names feels like the only other possible compromise for us, and he doesn't agree. So I told him he needs to accept what we already compromised on, or we find a better compromise, which doesn't mean him getting his way. He told me I'm very dismissive of his concerns, and I told him I was already going with a legal name I didn't care for under our compromise, so he should be more willing to work with me if he wants to change the names. Comment 1. NTA, I think he's being weird. Most people call kids by nicknames. Like, I am also a fan of the formal name option, but I also like having nicknames. Even if you guys picked shorter names that don't have nickname options, people might end up calling them Peanut, Little Man, Ladybug Eyed, some other nickname. BC, it's a way to show affection. I would suggest he pick formal names that have nicknames he likes. All of BC or kid will likely decide for themselves at some point what they want to go by, and it might not be the first one you chose. Comment 2. NTA. In my opinion, your original compromise was already him getting his way and you giving in completely. He was getting the legal names he wanted. Regardless of what compromise you reach, he doesn't get to dictate what name you use for your child or what name your child chooses to have people call them when they are old enough to communicate a preference. He is demanding to get his way and to control what you call your child. Is he like this in other ways? Because I have a strong feeling he is controlling and rigid in many other ways. Huge red flags you've been ignoring. Is he going to be like this as a parent? Comment 3. Have you considered names that are formal but short that make them sound like nicknames? Like Chloe, Paul, Anne, James? Also, fighting for the nickname you will use is pointless. Our child has a formal long name, I use a nickname, and my husband a different one, her friends another. She answers to all of them. My mom died when I was in kindergarten, and my dad didn't remarry until I, 26M, was 22. He didn't date at all while my siblings and I were kids. His wife is fine. She's not my favorite person, and I find her a little off when it comes to her relationship with me and my siblings. They feel the same. She gives the vibe that she expected to be accepted as our motherly figure instead of as our dad's partner/wife. We're close to dad. He has never given us the same vibe. He'll still hang out with us individually without his wife or each other around. But she definitely gives that vibe. It's weird to me because we were all adults and I'm the baby of the family, so my siblings were even older when she married our dad. And to think she would fill any kind of mom role, in my mind, is weird. My dad loves her though, and he's happy, and she's nice enough other than this, so we don't rock the boat. However, this is now a situation where I did start to rock the boat, and I wonder if I'm TA for that. So my fiancé Ellie and I are getting married, and we decided we both wanted to walk down the aisle. She wanted to walk with her parents, so I thought it'd be kinda cool to ask my dad. He said yes. He got really emotional about it. He said he wished my mom could be here to walk with us, and yeah, I do too, so much. My dad's wife later approached me and told me she would gladly walk me down the aisle instead, and she wanted me to know that I hadn't needed to ask my dad instead. I asked her what she meant, and she assumed I wanted her, but was afraid to ask. I told her that wasn't what I wanted at all. She told me that was unexpected, and when she heard I had asked Dad, she expected I would want her instead. So I asked her why she expected to walk me down the aisle when she is not my mom. She looked so offended when I asked her, and she told me I didn't need to be so tactless about it. I told her I was genuinely asking and told her I couldn't understand. She then said she clearly misunderstood the relationship she has with me and my siblings, and I can keep my thoughtless questions to myself. My dad was so confused by her reaction too. I told him what happened and he had no idea. She is really off though. Comment 1. NTA, as you have said, you have no motherly connection to your dad's wife. She joined your family long after you were raised by your dad, and you had moved on into adulthood, at 22. It's very bizarre that her expectation is to be treated like a parental figure when she herself knows she wasn't around to be a parent to you. She should not have assumed you meant to ask her for that role, especially when there is zero evidence or reason that you would. I would suggest though, that instead of trying to keep the peace by avoiding the subject, you have a talk with dad and your siblings about making your feelings clear to your dad's wife. There's no reason why you can't all have a good family relationship without someone assuming they have to be a certain role, parent or child, etc. Comment 2. NTA. Your dad's wife sounds like a well-rounded narcissist. The fact she'd be prepared to walk with you, and has a desire to connect and be a positive influence, is awesome. She needs to realize she's not entitled to that though, and needs to respect your boundaries. Ideally, she would have offered to walk with you, and accepted whatever your answer was.